The rose that grew from concrete.
Hi, hi everybody. Good evening. Thank you for tuning in again. My name is Sarah Chiu. My program is called Basket Starfish, our language core. I am presenting a different way of looking at languages because so far I think the linguistic theory are too Euro-centric. I would like to bring in a more integrated view, bringing in all the members of the language so-called families, because I believe that language only share one core, and a lot of the ancient languages is still preserved by every one of us, and nobody has it all. Everybody has part of the real old ancient language for human beings. Okay, today I'm going to talk a little bit about one very simple sign, just like an X, or you can look at it like this, like a plus sign. And my way of looking at symbol in languages, as you can see, can be quite new to you. And I hope I can bring you back a little bit to the perspective of the ancient people. I gained this insight, through living in very remote places and spending time with them, spending time with fishermen, farmers, herders, so it is the way they look at things is very different from your educated point of view. Now you look at words as words, but they look at a lot of things as pictures, and of course, symbols tell them a lot of the things that they need to know about life. So let me go on to the PowerPoint. Okay. Okay, I want to talk about this X sign, as I said, as you can see, the context of everything is very important, not just in writing, but even in ancient time, when the symbols were there, the context is also very, very important. And this sign is actually a very, very difficult sign, as you can read the millions of different messages into it. And I will use old writings to explain that old writing, okay? And this is, as you can see, you will see that in ancient Hebrew, or you can say Phoenician, it's they call it Tau, the last alphabet of all this ancient Hebrew and Phoenician writing. And I will use this hieroglyph sign to explain to you that you can look at it at different ways. First of all, you can look at it as a whirling sign. And also this is another ancient writing right there. Or you can look at it as the axis of a trail. As you can see, even turning can be to a different direction. And so when you look at this as a dead symbol, you actually miss a lot of information that it is carrying. and or this is another hieroglyph showing, you know, the H sound. You know, this is the earliest symbol of, you know, the knowledge of making thread and also ropes. And or you can look at that sign as two entities meeting each other, or even two entities cutting into each other. It can actually be a cutting sign. And or you can actually look at it other than to meet. It can also mean to join things together, or as my first episode trying to use this sign to show you that it can be the hub of a place. That's also a meaning meeting point, you know, the street signs since ancient times, shared in ancient Sumerian to Chinese to a lot of things that you see but you don't realize. And also this nowadays you look at it, you call it hashtag. You know, the hashtag actually at the beginning it can be read as hedge. You know, the hedge and the hashtag actually comes very close because it came from the ancient weaving and blading of the mat, and that is to block something off. So you can see very simple that this is to join something or to block something. This is completely opposite, or it can mean to whirl around something. So this sign itself can be very, very confusing. But today I'm going to concentrate on one sound of this symbol, which is the Tau sound, okay? As you hear all the time now, you see Tau cross, Tau cross. The Catholic Church used that as a form of a cross sign. And then actually a cross and crossing, why are they have sharing such close meaning? You will see as the slides goes on. This is the Phoenician or the ancient Hebrew sign of Tau. It can have this X shape or the plus shape or the T shape right here, okay? And actually I believe that whatever they chose to write, actually they were conveying something slightly different. It's only that we took them as one single sign. They are actually different signs that might be conveying different subtle differences. And 2 weeks ago, I showed you a couple of pictures. One of them was the footprint of a crane that I wanted to I show you about how we look at pedigree, our lines. And I also show you this one briefly, but I didn't have time to go into it. Today, I want to use it, you know, to correspond to this crossing sign, you know. First of all, again, the writing media has been changed, and then all these ancient records, especially in Chinese history, it wrote down that, you know, the inventor of ancient writing was actually based on the tracks left by birds, insects, and also the observation of the character of birds, insects, and animals. And I believe there is certain truth in it. First of all, I spent time, you know, observing a lot of these things in the different places, and this picture was taken in the Sahara Desert. And as you can see, there was a little insect, you know, crawling this way, and then after a while, a bigger insect is crawling this way. And if I write it out like that, you won't have any idea which direction I'm writing from. But if you look at the sand, this things can be as clear as you can think of. First of all, you can take a lot of the information about the physical appearance of the animal or the insect itself. First of all, this is the underneath one. You can see there's a much smaller animal, much lighter, so it makes a less impression on the sand. And the other insect is much bigger, heavier, and it makes a different zigzag sign on the sand. But also you can, other than that, if you pay more attention, you can see that there is some defect on this insect itself, because one side of it actually is like limping. The other side is quite regular, the other side is limping. So the Bedouin is exactly doing the same thing to keep track of the people who come and go in the desert. And there is a saying that, you know, in a snowy day, the crime rate is actually lower. It's not that people do not want to get out to commit crime. It is that truly that, you know, because the snow will leave the track, no thief will be that stupid to go out and commit crime on a snowy day. This is exactly the same thing. The problem is that now we pave all our roads, we can no longer track people, but you can see that, you know, the sand itself can leave a lot of information for us to read and to study. Okay, and after talking about the sand, let me go back to the Tau sign. And there, this is a Chinese writing right here. And first of all, the Phoenician Tau sign is said to be the last alphabet. And in Chinese, this sign right here is the last of our ancient number. And as time goes by, it gets more stylized, and then it became like this. But after all, it is a cross sign, okay? And then the 2,000-year-old dictionary in Chinese explained it as Tao. And what is Tao is to cross over something. It explains that in the winter, when the water level goes down, one can safely cross, and the sound is Tao. Or if we say it in another way, anything as an end or the head, we say Tao or Dou, Tao. Okay, you see this Tao, Tao, Dou. They actually share very, very similar sound, but they don't do it directly. And because in the dictionary, this sign actually carry a G or K sound, either Kwai or Guai. And I will show you another French word, which you will definitely know. You can see the forms right here, right? I'll show you a French word. It's croiser. Croiser is actually to cross. And then this is croix. And can you see this? The French actually doing the same thing. This itself actually means the noun a cross, a real cross, okay? So the X is actually put there to distinguish it from the verb here to cross something. This is to cross, this is to cross something. So you can see there is similarity in the pronunciation here and similarity in pronunciation here, which, you know, according to the modern linguistics, they are definitely in very different family trees. But then, as I said, you know, all the ancient language actually stayed in our verbal language on and on without going away. And I wanted to show you what is a crossover. Other than to be able to observe the insects, you know, actually our proportion plays a lot of importance in our understanding of the world. When I observe the insect, I become very, very big, you know, in the world of the insect. And when I go to a mountain and I look down on a river valley, I also kind of expand myself into a very big entity. And as I show you here, all those little dots I circle around are actually little animals, you know, little ghosts that was actually doing the crossing over of the river. And this is also a time that when the water recedes, you know, and then it's shallow enough for the animal to go and drink and to cross over. And again, the Chinese sign meaning to cross over. And this is actually the last number, you know, an ancient number. And then the explanation for this number is to Dou. Dou, as you can see, is the hen taking an animal-like thing around a cliff, crossing a river. This is exactly what this natural environment is telling you. And this is actually done in the Bronze Age when people are undergoing domestication of animal. They were herding animal from place to place. And this is the Phoenician. This is the Tau sign. And of course, the Tau is the last alphabet, which leads to A, to the animal, to the Aleph. As you can see, actually, the ancient look at things very different from us. The alphabetical is actually a cycle itself. When it gets to the last number, the last alphabet Tau, they're supposed to cross over and bring the animal over and bridging up the whole circle. Everybody wants to live eternally, and that's why everything is made to be like that, and people actually did think like that. If you go to very remote places, you talk to the farmers, you talk to the fishermen, they always talk in such a way. And alphabets were actually formed in that way. From A, B, C, D, E to all the way now, of course, to Z. Actually, there's another way to bring it back to the A. And okay. And as you can see, this is the animal head. This is exactly the animal head, which represented by the A itself. And it's actually to cross over. And when you go back to real life itself, you will know that I've been following the animal. The animal did know their way because they know where the waters are. And this is the animal climbing down the cliff, in order to cross the river. And I want to show you, I've been sitting on that mountaintop watching down at the valley, and truly, this is, whenever you see a place like that, it will be always the crossing point for human beings. And when you cross, that means you're meeting people. As you can see, people are coming from different directions. They do come across each other if they are simultaneously show up at the same time, or they were like those insects, one crossed, before the other come over. And I want to show you what's the relationship with your mental concept with the writing itself. Of course, this is a crossing, and the other tau sign, it's actually meeting. One entity run into another entity. And then in real life, I see it again and again. The riverside is always the meeting place for different forms of life. And as you can see in the picture here, it is the women going down to the river to wash their clothes. Of course, this is where people exchange information, people learn from each other, people talk about a lot of things. A lot of information actually get passed on like this. They don't need to read or write, but they did pass on a lot of information exactly like us. And if you are from India, I'm sure you know these two words. It also started with the t sound, the do, or the t word. And the tara actually means crossing or the passing over. Still exactly like the Western, as you can think of the Greek, the Hebrew words, the tau. And then also Tirtha, actually in Sanskrit, it actually means a pilgrim site, a sacred site, or a passageway, or a piece of water. Why is it? If I show you the picture, you will understand it easily. Whenever, people get used to cross over the river at a certain point, normally that place will grow into a very, very busy hub. And as time goes by, it grow more and more commercially, or if it grows into a pilgrimage site, it will turn into somewhere like Varanasi in India. This is a very famous site of the Hindus. So you can see that piece of water, of course, is by the riverside, and then it's a passageway because it's always by the riverside. People will come from one bank to the other bank. So this is the basic geographic makeup of Tao place. Even in Chinese, in Cantonese now, we call all this do tao. Okay, can you hear the sound do tao? It's all the piers that people meet and turned into a big city. And here I will show you the ingrained sound in all our languages. As you can see this crossover here, whenever you see this, you see towing. These people are towing something, right? And if you see also this symbol, this sign, this tau, you pay the toll to go across. In ancient time, yes, there's always a gate or a door for you to pay a toll to go across. Of course, now when you drive in the highway, you pay tolls, but as it comes automatically, now you just drive through without even knowing that you are passing through a gate. But if you go back to ancient time, all these things, are built into the language, are built into the sound, and built into the visual, symbols. And I show you also the visual understanding of something too. And if you do not know how to read or write, this is a Greek vase. Okay, and this is the person who's supposed to ferry you across to the river from life to death. This is what they call Charon. But of course, in English now, because the transcription, I heard people say Charon or whatever. But I mean, you don't even have to know how to read or write, but you can see this symbol right here. You, with the context right there, you can easily know that this is a person to cross you over to the rim of death. And this is the Charon, bringing the soul to the other end. And yeah, this is a ferryman of haste, crossover. Even in America, you will still see a lot of the railway crossing using this sign. And the river itself is also transcribed into English like this. But all this is actually means the circles from life to death. And the ancient, and can you see that two actually is actually embedded in between those signs, means crossing and circles, because they always believe that life is an endless cycle. Again, I want to show you that that sign I just showed you right there is not that I made it up, and this is the lexicon of ancient Greek, not ancient Greek, this is the lexicon of the New Testament in Greek. And this is the one of the things that they found out, that the representation of this actually means cutting and spinning. As you can see, you should actually see it spinning around. And this is the ingrained writing, Phoenician. Again, is the last alphabet. This is Chinese. For the Chinese, this is the first number. This is the last number. Can you see the similarity? We just, shifted it a little bit, and then it becomes the last. And then this is French, croix. This is the cross, and they put the X right there to show. And this is, of course, the real cross that you know these days in Christianity. And this is the Greek, and this is star. Of course, now in modern Greek, they pronounce it Stavros, but then you can see that that tau is actually embedded into this, cross sign. And then this is a sign that they use in Christ. Why? Because Christ is supposed to be the last prophet. And this is this last sign, okay? This is the end, the last alphabet. And if this plus this, I will show you one sign. This is the ancient Sumerian, meaning God. And so far, people have been looking at it as a star. But if you think a little bit more, there's no way that the ancient think of God as a star, because star is just one star. God should be much, much bigger than that. I'm sure the ancient knows about that. And I'm sure that the first and the last, beginning and the end, is always embedded in their belief in God. Because you see this sign and this sign, this is actually a what they call a monogram. You put two signs together to convey the meaning that it's God itself. It's only in the until the Bible that we say it out loudly, say, Jesus the first and the last, beginning and the end, Alpha and Omega. Okay, again, I want to show you crystals. And again, if you don't read or write, it's actually very easy for you to understand. When you come to Easter, in Greek, actually, it says Pascha. Pascha actually is also written with an X right there. And as you can see, Jesus is standing on this very symbolic thing, meaning the door to hell. And he's actually the last prophet, but he circles round back to the beginning of human being to save Adam and Eve back to life. So as you can see, it's a big concept of cycles right there. And the crystal itself, the X there is for the ancients to understand those rolling cycles. And of course, you understand this very well. This is a symbol of Jesus, and this is Sumerian. And you should look at all this as a trailing sign. And also this one is actually going around, and you can see the omega. The omega is actually a big circle right there. Omega actually means big circle. Okay? And I want to show also, a lot of these ancient pictures, which actually convey directly to people who do not need to write or read. And this is an Indian picture. This is a Minoan Greek. As you can see, this very clear. This is the X sign, okay? And in Greek, this mache is actually means compete, you know, or fight. And this chimera is actually translated in English as chimera, you know, they were, but in Greek it's pronounced as chimera, okay? This is a mix of two animals, as you can see in English, the mix. So you can see that all this, you know, we are still in the stage of visual meanings and sounds of mental concepts. And this is a Hittite ancient picture. As you can see, you know, this is a fight. As you can see, can tell by the lake, crossing of the lake. And this one, this is actually a Chinese writing in the dictionary. Actually, it says very clearly, this is the twisting of the lake. And we use this word to mean to compete, to fight, very clearly. And this exactly means machi in Greek, the X. Can you see this visual symbol? For the Chinese, for the Greek, we all understood things the same way, or in a very positive way, you know, when you twist together, not necessarily a bad thing. This is goes to another sound. You can look at it as the twisting of a rope or thread. In Chinese, as again, will be hai. This is also a H sound in Sumerian, and this is an H in hieroglyph. And this ancient past, which they said is a different language, but according to the modern Spanish rule, you know, you should not pronounce this, so it becomes naas. And then Portuguese, rolo actually pronounces hollow, okay? So I want to show you quickly, time is running out again. I want to show you all this sign. As you can see, everything is still visual, very visual. The turn, everything you see something turning, you will see those signs. Okay, I want to challenge you that direct visual understanding is a very, very important part of our human understanding, just exactly like the icons in the Greek church. Okay, thank you very much. Sorry that I am too slow. I hope I